That's we move to the next speaker. It's Marie, I see. So we are looking forward to hear.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everybody. So it's my pleasure to present you and officially launch today at EURADWASTE the European Joint Programme on Radioactive Waste Management. So with this presentation, I will briefly get back to some background information on how we get there, and then I will, of course, present the foundation, the founding documents of EURAD that have been developed over the past years, and I will also conclude with a brief overview of the technical scope of the first implementation phase. So we've heard yesterday and a lot of presentations, and also the first day as an introduction by Christophe Davies. For exactly 44 years, Euratom program has supported the EU collaborative R&D project at European level, and also enhanced coordination and support action to help and support the communities to get integrated. And we've heard this morning the presentation by CITEX, IGDTP, and also the network of research entities. So then in 2011, the EC promoted a step change in European collaboration, European research collaboration and cooperation by promoting a step change in this mode of cooperation, and by promoting the setting up of joint program of research, attracting and pooling a critical mass of national resources on specific challenges. So through this kind of joint program, EC is really promoting and really willing to go for an ambitious program rather than individual and competitive projects. This joint program really bring together those actors at national level that are able to direct and manage research program. So in 2014, EC called for a feasibility study of creating such a joint program in our field of radioactive waste management. And this was called the JOPRAD project, launched in 2015. So the main objective of this feasibility study was to assess if our radioactive waste management community could be meaningfully integrated in such a joint program. So the project started first by identifying those actors in our field with key responsibilities to develop and direct R&D program in support of safe radioactive waste management. And JOPRAD, once this organization have been identified, engaged them in the development of a shared vision, and also in the development of the scientific and technical basis for a shared agenda. So I will not provide many details on this slide, as we've heard this morning, all the work carried out by the three communities of actors that are waste management organization and technical support organization and nationally funding research entities that worked together. So maybe one precision was that at first JOPRAD was main focus was as the strategic research agenda of this organization was focused on geological disposal. So at first the scope was on deep geological disposal, but then with time and the work together, we broadened the scope. But I will show that in the later slides. So all these actors identified the main and the common R&D needs that could be carried out in a joint program. And then we also make a prioritization exercise to really identify the activities of high, medium, and low level of common interest. So all the documents, JOPRAD documents, can be found on the website, which is still online, and this program document is available as well as many other documents. And based on the good progress and positive achievement of JOPRAD, then EC decided to launch in 2017 to launch a call for the establishment, the proper establishment of the joint program on radioactive waste management. So in 2017 and 2018, all the community work hard together to develop the foundation and the funding document I'm going to present now. We submitted in September last year this proposal with a funding document as well as a first technical scope for a first implementation phase. And as I said, and also as it was mentioned earlier, joint program is now officially launched since June. So this is good news. So this is our new logo, EURAD logo that will be our visual identity for the next years. So on these slides, now I will going to present the founding documents. So on this slide, we have the vision statement that was elaborated during EURAD. So EURAD is really a step change in European collaboration in our field. And really the idea and the main goal is to support the national member states in the implementation of the waste directive. And taking into account, and we've also heard this earlier this morning and yesterday, taking into account the various stages of advancement of national programs. On these slides, we have the mandated actors that are identified. So, national program in Europe cover a broad spectrum of a stage of development, as I said, and depending on national waste inventory, with relatively small inventories and large or complex inventories, but also depending on the national policies and socio-political landscape with regards to long-term management of radioactive waste. So, for EURAD, we gather 52 organizations that have been mandated by their ministry and recognizing their key role in directing and managing R&D at national level. And we are gathering 23 European countries, so 21 member states and 2 associated countries. So on the bottom of the slide, we have the logos of these mandated actors. So on the left, the Waste Management Organization, so 20 Waste Management Organization, 13 Technical Support Organization, and 20 nationally funded research entities. But EURAD is also embarking a lot of organizations, especially what we call linked third parties. So these are research entities, universities, research centers that are involved and linked to the beneficiaries to implement the R&D work. Then EURAD is also working with a group of civil society organizations that will be implemented during EURAD to interact with such a group. So typically these organizations are local communities having interest in our field, and also national or European organizations that are involved in interaction in this field. EURAD also creates links with waste producers and those with predisposal waste management remit through an Eugenia association. Although they are not a direct contributor or participant of EURAD yet, we will continue engagement via dissemination and also cooperation for maybe set a future foundation for future collaboration in this joint program. And then we have also created strong links with some international organizations, so with IAEA during the development of EURAD, and we'll have also a presentation later this morning by Stefan Meyer. And also we want to extend this collaboration with organizations such as NEA, and we will also have a presentation later on the possible synergies between us. So now I'm going to present one of our main funding documents, which is the EURAD Strategic Research Agenda that has been developed on the basis of JOPRAD program document and on the three strategic research agendas of the existing communities. So the EURAD Strategic Research Agenda covers all types of waste, pre-disposal activities, disposal activities, primarily on geological disposal, but it covers also other types of disposal. It does not cover decommissioning, sorry. And then our agenda is split into 7 scientific themes. So we have this scheme on the right side of this slide that presents this theme. So the first one is a theme covering the management, implementation, and oversight of a radioactive waste management program. The second theme is on the pre-disposal activities and inventory collation, system understanding for disposal. Theme 3 is on the engineered biosystem property function and long-term performance. Then we have a theme on geoscience to understand crop properties, radionuclide transport and long-term evolution. And we have a theme 5 on facility design and practicalities of construction, operation and closure. Theme 6 is about siting and licensing, and the last theme is about safety analysis, performance assessment, and safety case development. So our strategic research agenda is complemented with what we call the EURAD roadmap. So the EURAD roadmap really demonstrates and links the scientific theme of the SRA and show how it underpins each phase of a disposal program. So we've taken the reference phase used by IEA, to which we added a phase 0 for the policy framework and program establishment. And our roadmap document for each team really detailed the different objectives for R&D and also really shows what is ongoing on this theme already at European level, also the forthcoming activities that will be taken in EURAD, and we will use, and I have a next slide, but you cannot read it, unfortunately, it is too small, but this is an illustration to show you the level of detail of this roadmap. So here it's an example with theme 2, so for each phase, we have the main objectives for each phase and then associated sub-themes with priorities of the SRA and then with a different color code identifying if these topics are of high or medium level of common interest between the actors. And we have some flags as well to present the topics for which ongoing activities are carried out, or past activities and also future activities. So I just want to mention that EURAD Strategic Research Agenda and EURAD Roadmap are living documents that will be regularly updated during the course of the joint program to take into account the results of our research and also the emerging needs that will be identified in course of collaboration. So now I'm going to briefly present the different type of activities we have identified to deploy this strategic research agenda and our roadmap. So, of course, we have the collaborative R&D, which are the main activities to be carried out. So, covers and activities aiming at developing and consolidating scientific and technical knowledge. And activities shall be a balance between those with a direct link to operational R&D and those with more prospective R&D links. Then we have a second type of activities that are the strategic studies. So This kind of activity really aims to enabling experts and specialists in a specific field to network on methodological and strategical issues and challenges that are common to several member states. And that are in link with direct scientific and technical issues. Then we have also a very important component. We've addressed this already earlier today and also a lot yesterday. We have a third category of activities, which is a knowledge management program. So the action we really want to implement consists of developing state of knowledge in our fields to ensure the transfer of knowledge between generations and also between countries and organizations. We also want to continue developing a descriptive methodological guidance, like the plan, this document that Palint mentioned earlier. And we also want to continue to develop hands-on training and also mobility measures. Then there is, of course, a category of project management, program management that will be necessary to implement and execute this program of activities. And we have also cross-cutting component activities that are the action consisting of interacting with the group of civil society organizations that I mentioned earlier. So we will specifically interact with them on the strategic studies, but I will come back to this on the later next slides. These slides show the EURAD governance, so I will not present into many detail the interaction and mechanism of governance, but what is important to have in mind is that our funding documents are our main foundation and really that gives the spirit and of the joint program. And then we have also, of course, a grant agreement with the European Commission to deliver the program of activity we have planned, and we will have also a consortium agreement between the activities. Then here, on the top level, we have the General Assembly that is composed of one representative per each mandated organization. And in order to represent all the type of actors, we have created 3 colleges, so the Waste Management Organization colleges, that is coordinated through the IGDTP, as it was presented earlier by Rob. Then we have the Technical Support Organization colleges that is coordinated via the site network, and it was presented by Delphine. And we have the Research Entity colleges coordinated by EURAD Science that Christophe presented just earlier. So all these 3 colleges identified also 3 representatives in their community to be part of the bureau that will support the General Assembly in the governance of the joint program. So 3 waste management representatives, 3 technical support organization representatives, and 3 research entity representatives. So in the identification of this actor, we make sure that we have a good representativeness of all stages of development of a national program. So we'll have a representative from an organization from a more advanced program, but also representative from countries with early stage programs. Then we have the program management office that will coordinate overall. And on the implementation side, we have the work package board, and I'm going to present in a few seconds the work package. And as I mentioned earlier, we want really to create a close link with the organization and with IEA, Eugenia, NEA. And we will also create an external advisory committee that will follow our activities in the next few years. So now I'm going to go through the last part of this presentation. So as I already explained, we have this sustainable joint program, which is EURAD, and that will be delivered with 5-year implementation phases. So together with the funding documents over the last year, we also developed the technical, scientific and technical scope of our first implementation phase that starts this month and that will be held until May 2024. So in terms of budget for this first implementation phase, in the EC call were available 32.5 million euros co-funded at the level of 55%. So in total, the joint program for the first phase is about 60 million euros. Then we have identified activities for the initial steps, but we allocated only 70% of the budget, meaning that we have 30% of the budget which is not allocated yet to allow us to launch activities in course of the project to really make sure that we can implement emerging needs. So I already mentioned the number of organizations that are involved in this first implementation phase. Of course, the 52 mandated organizations that are embarking 56 linked third parties. So in total, we are 108 organizations involved in the implementation of this first implementation phase. So this is a global overview, and of course, I will not go through each of these projects. Downstairs there is one poster for each project if you want to have detailed information. So here what is important to mention is that we have 7 R&D projects that are to be launched these days. So the first one is CORI, for cement organics radionuclides interactions. We have a project called Future for fundamental understanding of radionuclide retention. A third project on spent fuel characterization and evolution until disposal. We have a project for developing and improving numerical methods and tools for modeling coupled processes. We have a project on the influence of temperature on clay-based material behavior. We have a project called Assessment of Chemical Evolution of Intermediate Level Waste and High Level Waste Disposal Cells, and a project on mechanistic understanding of gas transport in clay materials. So these are the 7 R&D projects to be launched. In addition, we have 2 strategic studies launched at its inception. So one on the management of uncertainties called HUMAN, and one on the waste management route in Europe from cradle to grave. And we have these 3 knowledge management components that will be launched also to establish state of knowledge in our field and to develop guidance and deliver training and mobility. And you have also the amount, the total budget for each project. And we have also the program management office on top of this slide. So now I'm going to go through the conclusions, and it's a summary of the ambition of EURAD and the joint program. So first of all, it's a big achievement and the fruit of the determination and tremendous amount of work between all organizations involved in EURAD over the past years and since 2013. So the main aim is to establish a sustainable, inclusive, transparent, cutting-edge, scientific and goal-oriented and entirely new approach for cooperation at European level in our field. And this sustainable approach is particularly pertinent in view of our long lead times and operational time spans. It's a holistic and multidisciplinary program between generations that will guide cooperative research and development and investments in our field over the coming decades in Europe. So, as we already said, it covers the broad scope of predisposal and disposal activities, full range of waste, and all phases of a program. It gathers the organization at EU level with key responsibility for directing R&D on our field, irrespective of the stage of development. And we have A lot of main goals. The first one is to implement a robust and sustained state-of-the-art science and technology program that is here to complement national R&D program, and also to carry out activities of high level of common interest between us. And also to support the research needs of advanced and early stage programs. We will also elaborate through strategic studies on complex issues and identify emerging ones, and bringing all together the interested actors to jointly carry out such studies. Then we will also we are also aiming at fostering mutual understanding and trust between the participants of the joint program, but also between and with other stakeholders, including from civil society. And then one very strategic and important aspect is the consolidation of effort between all the actors across Europe on knowledge management. As already mentioned, state of knowledge, development of training, and also improving access to quality tools, resources, and communities of practice to share and learn from each other. And then we are really willing to deepen the interaction and cooperation that have been already established since ROPRAD with the waste producers, and also to set foundation for future collaboration. So here we have a clear link also with the call NFRP 10, and also willing to pursue the cooperation with IEA, and Stefan will probably tell more about this, and also NEA. A very first brief overview of the main challenges that are waiting for us for the first year. So now we are launching EURAD, and during the first months and years we will experiment this initial learning phase with respect to our governance and the mechanisms that may require some fine-tuning over time, for sure. One important aspect is the roadmap that I presented earlier. We have already planned to continue the work on this roadmap, to continue to improve it, and to notably support the identification of the key gaps that would be then used to prioritize the scope of the work, R&D, strategic studies, but mainly knowledge management activities. So we'll carry out a competency matrix to identify the core competencies that are necessary at each phase of the roadmap and for each scientific team. We will map all existing initiatives and available state of knowledge training guidance to help us also in this work of prioritization of the work we really want to do to avoid duplication of efforts at European and international level. And we will also identify some pool of experts for each theme and of the roadmap. Then the 7 R&D will start. Kick-off meetings are already planned. And the main challenge for the first year will be for them to establish the experiment and the work, and also to establish the state-of-the-art reports that they all have to produce during the first year. We will initiate the 2 strategic studies already mentioned, and we will start implementing the plan work, and we will also set the scene for the launch of the knowledge management activities once the prioritization will be done in the next few months. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention.
Impressive work. I think that it opens up for a great future, and together with the Commission, I think we're going to push so that it becomes a success.